Well, could a piece of paper be holding up implementation of a crucial water agreement across Idaho? Well, it appears that's the case. Senate Bill 1128 would deliver on Governor Brad Little's goal to invest millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, into water infrastructure projects across southern Idaho. The water mitigation agreement reached late last year secured a deal between the surface users and the groundwater users who've been at odds for years. Well, now the signed deal might be unworkable if lawmakers don't deliver a funding mechanism. Here's Joe Paris.
A successful water agreement between surface and groundwater users through eastern Idaho was a highlight across Idaho in 2024. It took months of hard work, tough conversations, and creativity to find a solution on how water should be used and preserved.
My Keeping Promises plan helps tackle the backlog of unfunded water projects.
Governor Little kicked off the 2025 legislative session with a call to action. Lawmakers needed to help water managers and agriculture operations successfully execute the new Idaho Water Agreement. Investments appear in the form of legislation, like Senate Bill 1128, a commitment to $30 million in ongoing investments for water infrastructure projects. The proposal sailed through the Senate, but is now treading water in the House Resource and Conservation Committee.
You know, if I'm being honest, it's a little bit frustrating.
We first introduced you to Blackfoot farmer Adam Young last summer. At the time, a water mitigation agreement was up in the air, and there were real concerns that surface water farmers like Young would have their water cut off. In the end, though, surface and groundwater camps compromised.
We did come to a deal that I think is a good deal. I think it's very workable, but it's going to require some pretty major investments in water infrastructure projects in our area and in the Twin Falls area.
Senate Bill 1128 accomplishes that. Ongoing money to supplement what farmers in water districts are already planning on spending major money on. All of this to ensure the water deal agreements are met.
And for reasons that I don't fully understand, that bill is being held in committee, although it's got broad support in the Senate, and my understanding is very broad support in the House.
You have to have that consistency and that certainty that is going to allow you to move forward with those projects. That's huge, and it absolutely must happen.
Representative Ben Furman of Shelley, Idaho, has followed the issue closely.
I'm a financial planner. I work with markets. The worst thing you can do for a market is create uncertainty. And that's what we're doing right now for our farmers, is creating this uncertainty.
Furman is pushing for his constituents and really agriculture operations across eastern Idaho who need confidence that water projects will see state investment.
We have to bring the pressure and show the legislature, particularly right now in the House, that this ongoing funding is absolutely necessary, and there should be no excuse.
There are questions about why Senate Bill 1128 is being held. Representative Gerald Raymond of Manan, Idaho, sits on Resources and Conservations Committee in the House.
It is absolutely imperative that we get something moving this session.
Concerns from some appear to center on annual investments instead of a limited approach.
The major projects that we're looking at require long-term financing. It's much like the transportation issues we face in the state. There's always something to address.
This bill should have been bill number 1. This should have been the top priority for this legislature, and I don't know why it's not. But I do know that good people are working on it.
So what happens if lawmakers can't or don't deliver for whatever reason?
At the very least, it becomes much more difficult to carry out, if not impossible altogether.
We're working on it daily, hourly. It's not something that's going to go away in our minds. We're going to stay here until we get it done.
I think that in the end, I think good people will do the right thing and it will prevail. But we have to keep that pressure on. We have to let them know how important it is.
Those of us who are on the ground aren't really interested in the politics of this. We just want to move forward with what we need to do to be able to make things work. It's hard to understand why the legislature, after what we experienced last year, would be holding this up.
And you might have picking up the tone of optimism by some lawmakers that we spoke with for that story. And I've spoken with lawmakers that didn't appear in the story that say whether it's Senate Bill 1128 or a different version of it, they are working hard to figure this out. Brian, at the same time, though, we can say, trust us, we're the news media, trust us, we're lawmakers. For farmers that are across eastern Idaho that work so hard to get this deal done, you could hear the frustration. You saw the frustration from people like Adam Young. This is their livelihood. And some of the frustration that's been described to me by the agriculture community is there are things in agriculture and farming you cannot control. The weather, the water year. This is something that is a human element that can be controlled. Signing on a piece of paper yes, that we're going to invest in this. Again, though, when the governor gives his proposal at the beginning of the year of the State of the State, that's his proposal. It's up to lawmakers to kind of carry out their own vision,
Yeah,
too.
and as you said, it's kind of too bad that it's this late in the session they're dealing with it, but hopefully, I mean, they're still there, so they got some time to figure it out.
And something that Adam said, too, is, we're a week away from the target date for CNA-DA.
Yeah.
I don't think we're a week away, so that
No.
might buy some time for issues like that.
All right. Thanks, Joe.